We're back, everybody. After episode 1 and 2, where we did the quarterbacks and the running backs, we're here for arguably one of the most fun positions and one of the most deep positions, the wide receiver position. And we are joined, as always, by the man down below, Daniel. And, of course, now we are adding into it, Dylan. Dylan, how you living, man? How you doing? Tell us a little bit about you and your experience with fantasy football.
All right, I'm doing good, man. Thanks for asking. I'm proud to be a part of X Factor now, for sure. But I've been doing fantasy football since I want to say sophomore year of high school, and
late bloomer.
Yeah, late bloomer. I'm in currently sophomores in college. So, first year I made my finals, and I lost. Second
we're
year,
not asking about your win-loss record here.
I'm just saying. Sorry about that squeak, but I've won one season. We're doing. I like it a lot. I've gotten a lot more investing to it and learned a lot. It's been a long process.
Yeah, me and Daniel felt really comfortable adding him to the fantasy football aspect of things because how many hours that we all put into this. We're hungry about fantasy football. We love learning about fantasy football. We love watching football, and that's a big part of fantasy football. So, Daniel, got anything to add?
For sure, man. As knowledgeable as it gets. But then today, we're going wide receiver rankings, And when it comes to wide receivers, man, it's the deepest position in the game. There's at least three of them on the field, We're excited
at all times, pretty much.
We're excited.
Yes, sir. So without further ado, we're just going to hop right in. Wide receiver, like Daniel alluded to and I alluded to whenever I was introducing Daniel, wide receiver is so deep. It's not one of those positions you really have to, get some of the top guys like a running back, or sometimes if you feel that way about a quarterback in maybe a 2-quarterback league, but wide receiver, very deep. We're going to rank the top 30 and all three of our opinions. And starting at number 1, we'll go to the newbie. We'll give it to Dylan here. Dylan, who's your number 1 wide receiver?
Hey, feeling, man? Let's hear it.
All right. My number 1 wide receiver for the 2021 fantasy football season is Deandre Hopkins.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah. So my reasoning behind this is I think Kyler improves even more going into next year. I think with Kyler improving a ton, and they've already had one season together, him and Hop together. I think it's going to make them even better. And last year alone, Hop finished 10th in total points and 11th in average per game in standard. So I think he's due in to have a good season like he did with Deshaun.
D-Hop's a guy that I love. I love D-Hop. He's one of my keepers going into next year. DeAndre Hopkins is just the volume could be insane because they don't really have a set in stone number 2. A guy I didn't even consider at 1, if I'm being honest.
You didn't consider him at 1?
I did not consider him at 1.
I thought it was a little bit of a hot take. I was kind of like, there was a couple guys. There were 3 guys.
But in terms of targets, he's top 2. He's right behind Stefan Diggs. So it makes a lot of sense. And he was with a new quarterback. So half of those targets were just throwaways or him just, those two trying to link up in some sort of sense. So it will be interesting. He's a very good wide receiver.
He's one of the most talented wide receivers in the game.
Not even close.
And he also has one of the most talented quarterbacks in the game.
Oh,
one thing to mention is his strength of schedule next season will be difficult. He will face Jalen Ramsey twice. And that's something a lot of people have concerns about. A lot of people. He's a great wide receiver. I have him very high as well. I considered him at 1, but
I didn't consider him, but I have him high. Don't get me wrong. I have him high, but there's just a name that will probably get said eventually that I just think is the clear-cut number 1. Daniel, let's go to you.
I think I might just tell you that name right now, and I'm going to go with Tyreek Hill.
Oh, my God.
Okay, so I'm going to guess that we are not consensus. I can guess who his is, though. But Tyreek Hill, speed kills, man. The only issue I have with him is there's reasons I didn't want to put him at 1 is because – when you look at that Chiefs offense, you have to shut him down. And there's no defense that's going to match up against Kansas City Chiefs that aren't going to be like, okay, our game plan is to stop Tyreek Hill.
No.
And he's going to see a lot of coverages with double coverage, a safety over tops, where that way they cannot just beat him with the speed. But the man runs the ball, he runs the ball, he catches the ball. He's the number 1 wide receiver next year.
A little bit of a hot take, in my opinion. Tyreek Hill, he's a very big play guy, of course. He's going to catch a couple of those 50-plus yard throws, couple 50-plus yard touchdowns. But in my rankings last week with the quarterbacks, I was a little low on Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes was my 8th ranked quarterback. So with that being said, I have him a little bit lower. Obviously, I still think he's top 5, but I don't know about number 1. I think that you're for Tyreek to be number 1, he has to have so many boom games. It's ridiculous. And because he's not one of those guys, in my opinion, that's going to get you those low in yards where it's like slant routes and all that. It's more so like down the field throws and such.
So do you think he gets a lot worse from last season?
Not a lot worse. Probably just, I think he takes a step back.
Yeah, literally in my notes, I have the word boom in all caps next to Tyree Kill. That's
I mean, he can be as low as 15 or as high as 1, and I wouldn't be surprised just because he's one of those guys. He gets dinged up really easy. He's missed some time over the years, and again, he relies a lot on the deep ball, and that stuff kind of scares me. But of course, when you have Patrick Mahomes, it's okay to be a boom guy.
I mean, if you look at his season last year, there are 2 wide receivers who really stand out on the points matter, and that is who I believe Troy's going to take next. So I'm not going to say his name, and then Tyreek Hill. And so Tyreek Hill finishes number 2 with 241.9 fantasy points. Number 3 scored 201.6. So that's a 40-point difference between 2 and 3. And I think that shows a big difference. And he only played 15 games.
Yeah. So my number 1 here, I'm going to take, arguably, in my opinion, one of the best in the game, if not the best, Devonte Adams. I mean, Devonte Adams, the volume's there. I don't think the Packers have any sort of attitude to spend money on the wide receiver, running back, anything like that because, why would they, I guess. They're one of those teams that scares me a little bit, though, because Aaron Rodgers had such a good year. Can he continue that? And he's getting older.
I agree.
Can he get frustrated with the team? Because there was rumors early on that he potentially wanted a trade, and obviously I don't think it's true, but the rumors are there, and rumors are rumors for a reason. But Devonte Adams, I mean, the targets are ridiculous. 149 targets. He caught 115 of them. I mean, the touchdowns are absurd as well. I mean, his season was just absurd. And I think he builds on it. And he's another one of those guys that gets hurt some. So, it's kind of sketchy, but I'm taking Devonte Adams. The volume alone makes me feel comfortable.
I mean, looking at, like I said, he was the number 1 guy and who I expect you to take. Like I said, Tyreek Hill scored 241. Devonte Adams scored 243, and he played in the last game. He played in 14 games, averaging 17.4 points.
Yeah, I think people forget that he missed time.
He missed 2 games, yeah. I mean, he still finishes wide receiver 1. And outside of him and Tyreek Hill, it was not close.
Yeah. So on to number 2. We all have different answers at 1. So I'm expecting some names that we've already said to start flowing into the conversation. So at 2, Dylan, who you got?
I got Devonte Adams at 2.
Devonte.
So the only reason I put him, my main reason that I put Hop is because I see a lot of potential in Hop this season. Like I said, with Kyler getting better, but the reason I dropped him down mainly because I don't see Aaron Rodgers doing that again this year. I mean, he always does really good. I feel like, but this year was arguably one of his best two years in the league, 1 or 2 years. Something.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
I think that's the only reason. And then possibly Aaron Jones being gone, and then
but then that could lead.
That could open targets. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That could open targets, but. They could clear. I mean, they could draft a wide receiver. I don't know because apparently Green Bay just refuses to do that.
They refuse.
They won't. They never will, man.
But I respect that there. Daniel, who's your two?
Going right off of him, I have the same number 2 in Devonte Adams. I mean, clear-cut top 3 guy. I mean, I don't think it's much of a question. Aaron Rodgers is a stud, but I agree with Dylan. I don't think he performs the same way he did last year.
Yeah, but you remember what happened last time people
doubted Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, that's true.
This season. And I mean, so Aaron Rodgers is a weirdo, man. He gets motivated by the weirdest things.
Aaron Rodgers is a myth.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's going to fall off a cliff. I wasn't saying. I'm just saying that's a lot. He did. The things he did this year were very, very.
He did incredible numbers.
Yeah, I'm actually going to mention a new name for my number 2. Stefan Diggs. I think Stefan Diggs is the number 2 guy going into next year. I think he led the league in targets with Josh Allen, a quarterback like Dylan said about Kyler, a guy that can just continue to get better and better, uses his legs, extends plays. His arm is unbelievable. Kid can throw like 90-yard bullets. Yeah. It's unbelievable, and Diggs is just unbelievable. I mean, on the year 1,500 receiving yards, and he finished as high as he did with only 8 touchdowns. So I think the touchdown number could go up next season. And, his target share will probably be right about the same, even though they'll probably add a running back and run a little bit more than they did. But Stefan Diggs, year number 2 with Josh Allen, I expect a big, big year.
It was crazy going into last season. Analysts had Diggs so low. They're like, oh, he's not going to do anything. Wide receivers going to a new team, they got to get adjusted. And this man, he said
same with D-Hop. Everybody was worried about that too. So it's just
Stefan Diggs ADP was wide receiver 23, overall 57.
League winner.
Yeah,
that's a league. That is a
last week. League winner.
I mean, some of the guys drafted above him are, Cortland Sutton, respect injury, but
my man Court.
We have guys such as also Odell Beckham Jr. injury, DJ Moore taken above him. Right below him is like T.Y. Hilton, DJ Chark. That's who he was taking around with those guys.
Oh,
that's crazy. And so now number 3, Dylan.
All right, my number 3 is Daniel's one, Tyree Kill. Tyree Kill's my number 3.
Too low.
Too low? I don't think so. I don't think so, personally. But
he's gonna get a lot of coverage, and that's something you have to worry about.
You saw in the Super Bowl, they shut that down.
The Bucs are a little bit of a different defense.
they have a good defense. That's they're like a top 5 defense in the NFL. So,
but I completely agree. He's going to see a lot of double coverages. There is going to be a safety on the field almost all the time watching him, as well as a cornerback shadowing him. And
for the first time almost in Patrick Mahomes' pro career, a team was able just to absolutely shut them down.
That is
regardless if Mahomes is hurt or not, now defensive coordinators have something to work on and something to watch and try to formulate the same thing. And while they may not be the same as Buccaneers defense, they're NFL athletes at the end of the day. Right. And so it could get really interesting next season for the Chiefs in terms of just relying on their offense to get them through some games. So, that'll be interesting. Sure. So
hearing everything Troy has said, I'm very interested to see where he has Tyreek Hill, because I've already heard that he has Patrick Mahomes as QB8, which is insane. I'm glad I have Dylan to back me up on this now.
I'll take. So number 3, Daniel, who you got?
That's where I go with Dylan's number 1. I think Deandre Hopkins. I think Kyler Murray has a very underrated arm where he can also extend the play out of the pocket. You've seen DeAndre Hopkins' talent, man. You've seen it time and time again. And, I wish I had a picture right here of, his game-winning catch. That might be the next edition, the kid has so much talent. And, another year with Cliff Kingsbury, I think the sky's the limit for that guy.
Yeah, and that's just where I have D-Hop. D-Hop is just one of those guys, man. Top 3 wide receiver in terms of talent, top 3 wide receiver in terms of fantasy usage, fantasy value, whatever you want to call it. Kyler Murray, as you said, very underrated arm. And I think year 2 with D-Hop will be, sky's the limit for those two. And Dylan, maybe he is number 1. Maybe I undersold him, but all right. Number 4, Dylan. Where are you going?
Another duplicate, Stefan Diggs at 4 for me.
Stefan Diggs.
I think Josh Allen, last season showed a lot. And granted, he could not be the same. He could get worse. But I like Kyler. I think he's going to get better, like you said. And potentially make a case at MVP next season. And if that's the case, then, Diggs is going to be a big part of that. So I expect him to put up similar numbers to last year. I think he was 5th in average points last year, too. I think is what I saw, total average per game.
Yep.
To be and that could get even higher.
Diggs finishes 3 and only 3 wide
total.
receivers.
Was it 3 total or average total points?
Oh, an average.
Average.
I don't like looking at. Let's see.
Yeah, he was 3rd in total. Yeah, that's what it was.
3rd in total. He was one of only 3 to break the 200-point margin. And then Diggs finishes number 5 average.
Yeah, per game, which is if he. That's kind of.
But it's at 12.6 points.
Yeah, which is still in standard. That's insane. Is that in standard?
Yeah, that is standard.
Oh, yeah.
All of our rankings
all
are in standard.
Yeah. All right.
Diggs is unbelievable. Like I said, he's my number 2. He's your number 4. So, Daniel, who's your number 4?
That's where I go with my guy. Unbelievable talent. I go DK Metcalf. I think you all might disagree a little bit. I might be a little too high. I love the guy. I think he only gets better. I think another year with Russell Wilson. You remember all those things about Russell Wilson talking about Joe Montana and Jerry Rice. We're talking about year 2 of that now, right? You get to see them together again. Last year before week 7 when they played the Los Angeles Rams. The guy was going insane. He was still able to finish as wide receiver 5, averaging right below 12 points at 11.8. He is just built a little bit different.
Yeah, he's a little big, don't you?
A little bit different than everybody else. So
He's the definition of boom.
Yeah.
Boom or bust.
I'm okay with that.
Because that man could go for 3 touchdowns, 180 yards, on only like 5 completions or 5.
I think you could say that about both Seattle wide receivers, honestly.
Yeah, 100%. It's whoever Russell likes that day.
Yeah, for real. That's
DK's route running ability
But
really scares me. Really.
Are you really telling me that DK and Tyler Lockett could flop spots? Because you're crazy.
I mean, in any game, I think they could. Like, I think in one game, Lockett could put up 30 points or something.
I mean, Lockett put up like 60 last year.
Yeah, remember that game? I had a game.
Like,
it was like he put up 38 out of nowhere.
Yeah,
he
I
went crazy
mean,
a few times.
DK is one of those guys. He just frustrates me again because his route running ability. Dude is literally like, hey, run a deep drag, run a straight line, and we'll throw it to you. He's shown signs of having not the best hands either. There's some parts of him, man, that really scare me. But for Tyree Kill, or I go number 4, Tyree Kill. Tyree Kill, I slid him in at 4. I still think he's a top 5 guy. But I mean, just a little bit lower than you have him. But yeah. So
I think the top 5 are really that like upper tier, in my opinion.
Maybe 6. I maybe think 6.
I'm curious.
So who's number 5 for you?
For me?
Yeah.
It is also DK Metcalf.
Okay. Daniel.
And then for 5 is where I slip in Stefan Diggs.
See, I put in Keenan Allen.
Okay.
Wow. Okay, so now that's where the
I
change
go
comes.
with
Now
Keenan.
I think that's way too high. As much as I love Keenan Allen, but you did have Justin Herbert as QB1.
Yeah.
So that is why.
The thing about you can talk.
Go.
Go ahead.
No, you go.
All right. What I was
thinking
thinking about, so I was going through ranking. I would like put Keenan Allen in, and I'd be like looking. I'm like, no, he goes higher. So over time, I'm just thinking about like Herbert and stuff. I'm like, I just kept pulling him up. Like I don't have him as high as you do, but he went up a lot higher for me than I thought he would be at.
Dude, Keenan Allen is one of those guys. Again, his quarterback. I mean, Justin Herbert didn't start week 1. What he did like week 2 or whatever, week 3, whatever. Justin Herbert for me is a guy that is ready and will be in MVP conversations for years to come. I think Justin Herbert's a real deal. I think Keenan Allen, he's a guy that I didn't really like for the longest time. And I would always bash Daniel because Daniel and I would always have these conversations about Keenan Allen. And I was like, man, he's not legit. But then we gave him a legit quarterback. And now I'm like, holy cow, this guy, his route running, his everything, man. Like this guy is a very good wide receiver and he'll be around for a long time. I really like Keenan Allen. I think he's a top 5 wide receiver next year.
I agree. I think Keenan Allen is top notch. I don't know if I can put him top 5. Top 5's high.
It is, but I take him over DK, man, personally.
I think that's a little crazy, but I see where you're coming from. I think you like Justin Herbert more than I do, though.
Yeah,
I think Keenan might be a little bit more reliable in terms of fantasy points, like per game, than DK maybe. But I think DK is going to get way more booms.
Yeah, DK will probably have those boom games where you're like, holy cow, Yeah. But Keenan Allen, set it, forget it, don't worry about it. He'll get you something. He'll get you because I mean Justin Herbert and him have a connection, and I'm really excited for these year 2 with these good quarterbacks.
Oh,
cannot wait. Same thing with Tyler Boyd, who we'll get into a little bit later with Joe Burrow. I think that those kinds of, and maybe even T Higgins, like those kind of guys, I can't wait for year 2 with their quarterback. But let's go right into number 6. And Dylan, who you got?
Calvin Ridley at 6. He played great last year. And Matt Ryan, I don't like Matt Ryan, being real. But in terms of fantasy, he didn't do too bad last year. I know he started off the season kind of strong.
Very underrated year. Me and Daniel kind of touched on that last season.
But if he can keep that up, I don't know if he can, or at least play like similar to that. He is getting older in age, and the Falcons aren't the best team, but they had a lot of injuries last year, didn't they? I think especially on defense. I thought, or am I thinking of something else?
Who?
The Falcons. Didn't they have a lot of injuries last year? They just
I mean,
I think there was a lot.
Julio was out a lot.
Yeah, I didn't know if their defense, but like I'm kind of expecting them to play from behind a lot. If I'm being honest too, that's another reason I'm putting Calvin here.
Yeah,
but he also is more their. I don't know. I feel like he started to overtake Julio. I think Julio is a better wide receiver, but I think Matt Ryan. I don't know.
Well, Julio wasn't there half.
Calvin Ridley gets to take almost the number 2 position on that team, even though you might have him as a top 5 fantasy wide receiver.
Oh yeah.
Teams don't forget about Julio Jones when he's in the game.
Yeah, even though he's getting older, he's still.
I mean
that
every team knows. I mean, he's one of the guys like you don't leave him.
And he was.
Daniel, who
That's
you,
how
who you got
Calvin
at 6,
Ridley's.
Dan?
That's where I go with AJ Brown.
Oh my
Okay.
goodness.
Ryan Tannehill, underrated quarterback. I love AJ Brown. I liked him on at the end of last year. Another one of those guys, super low ADP last year, as most of these guys are. But he is also a boom guy, and I think most of these guys end up being boom guys.
Yeah. I also went Calvin Ridley. That's where I slid Calvin. I think Calvin's, and I'm another one of those guys I'm not huge on in terms of like sitting down and watching because I love Julio.
I'm kind of like that too. I like watching Julio way more.
Yeah, but I mean Calvin Ridley. I mean the production's there. It's been there the last few years, and he's continuing to just become almost a safety like evolved for Matt Ryan. And Matt Ryan's had some sneaky good years. Like we always joke about Matt Ryan, and everybody's ready to mail it in on Matt Ryan, but that dude still produces really good numbers.
Matt Ryan, even if he isn't the best quarterback, he will produce fantasy football numbers for the wide receivers every year.
Yeah, that's just the way it goes. But okay,
but going on to number 7, that's where I plug in Calvin Ridley for me.
Okay.
Same thing all of you all said. Matt Ryan can still produce. He gets to take almost a number 2 role when Julio's in the game. His touchdown production's there. His target share's there.
Yeah.
Everything is there for Calvin Ridley to be a top 10 receiver.
And Dylan, who's your number?
My number 7 is the other Falcons wide receiver, Julio Jones.
You put Julio really high.
I did put him high. I did put him high. Now, I think a lot of it for me is just his pure skill. Like, yes, he's like, what was he pushing? 30, 32, somewhere in there?
He's up there.
He's pushing up there, but I think he's still a very skilled receiver, and he's due in for a year. I mean, this man's wasn't like 2 seasons ago, he literally didn't have a touchdown until it was like for forever. I mean, I feel like he's
due for a year and not due for retirement.
Yeah. I mean, you think you're telling me these are
no.
Yeah,
I don't think he should retire, but he can't stay healthy at the moment.
Yeah, I do agree with that. That's a problem. I mean, health is always a problem, but I think if he can stay healthy, I mean, I think he could be a top 10.
I agree with that. I mean, if you tell me Julio Jones plays all 16 games next year and doesn't have any injury stints, he's probably top 8 as well.
Falcons playing from behind too.
I agree with that. Falcons defense, nothing super special. Falcons team isn't super special.
Yeah, so,
I agree. Julio Jones, one of the most talented wide receivers to probably ever play the game.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
He's unbelievable.
Love him to death. But last year, I mean, how many games did he even play in? I think
it was like 8 or 9.
About half the season.
Yeah, 7 or 8.
Somewhere in
just off the top of my head.
Julio Jones played 9 games.
Yeah.
I mean, when he played, he averaged 10.6 points per game. But
when he played, he was tough, but it's just about getting out there on the field.
That's the big thing from his injury, so it is kind of a risky spot.
Yeah, I kind of went with a risk at my 7 too, Michael Thomas. That's where I put Michael.
I love Michael Thomas. I didn't I did him dirty. I'm going to be real.
Yeah, I mean, I still think he's another one. He didn't really even play that much.
Yeah, I mean,
he's another one of those guys that if people value them like you guys probably will in the rankings, and you get them pretty low, they have so much of an upside that it's ridiculous because their floor almost is just as high as some people's ceiling. So it's a very that's why I plugged him at 7, regardless of their quarterback position. I mean, Taysom Hill and him seemed to have some sort of connection even when Taysom was starting. So I mean, I'm gonna plug Michael Thomas in top 7.
I was gonna say that was my question is when you put him that high, who is the quarterback for him?
Yeah, that is the legit problem with it.
Yeah, that is
because I think if you assume it's Jameis Winston, I don't think you can be super excited about him either.
Pick City.
I like Jameis. I think
I do too. But
I think for fantasy wide receivers, shoot, they might have 2 guys in the top 10 like they did on the Buccaneers.
Godwin was I mean, and people forget Michael Thomas broke the reception record, was first in fantasy points 2 seasons ago. So but they also different quarterback likely.
So number 8
for sure.
Dylan, where are you going?
Hang on.
Oh wait, you good, Dan?
Yeah, go ahead.
Right. My boy Justin Jefferson, second year. Another thing, Vikings, I think their defense will get better. That was a big problem this year. They're playing from behind or in high scoring games a lot. But I think he will easily overtake Adam Thielen as number 1 this year, as the best receiver on that team. And I loved what I saw from him last year. He was a steal last year in drafts. I think I got him in the last round of our draft and held on to him. And I think he's going to perform the same way. I think he got 9th in average points and 6th in total points last year. So I mean,
Yeah,
I can
I'll go
say-
right off that. I have Justin Jefferson in the same spot. I also have him at 8. I think he is a very good wide receiver, a lot of talent. It's another one of those sophomore. Like he gets the jump. I mean, he finished as a great wide receiver last year, and you can only expect better out of him.
See, this is where I go DK and then Justin Jefferson. This is
it.
where I have DK at 8 and then Justin Jefferson at 9. So we're starting like our lists are a little similar, but
Yeah,
now
we're
we got the
getting-
big differences with Julio and me with Michael Thomas. That could really start getting interesting. But yeah, that's where I plugged Justin was number 9 and DK 8. So Daniel, who's your number 9?
For number 9, that is where I go with a free agent wide receiver. I know that's a big like number top 10, but I go Allen Robinson. I think he's one of the most talented wide receivers in the game. I love Allen Robinson. I know most of you guys do too, but and this I had him flopped around. Like I see a lot of scratches on my rankings here because I moved him around a lot because I worry about where he goes, of course. But I love Allen Robinson, so I think he finishes top 10. I mean, he's been playing with Mitch Trubisky.
Can't get worse. He can't get worse than Mitch.
Exactly. I mean, unless he goes to the Jets and has Sam Darnold.
I mean, I think Darnold might be better than Mitch.
He might be. I like Mitch too much to put him below Sam Darnold. But I agree. I think Allen Robinson. Where do you all go?
I'll go AJ Brown here, 9.
Wow.
So,
Lower than I expected.
Yeah, I mean, I do think they've got some other receivers there. Corey Davis emerged a lot more towards the end of the season.
I agree. Breakout year for Corey Davis.
Yeah,
Another free agent.
Yeah, and he'll be gone possibly. And then they also got Jonnu Smith tight end, and I don't think he's not going to absorb targets, but he's an end zone threat. I think more than anything, red zone threat. So that's where touchdowns.
Not to mention they have Derrick Henry for the.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they got the dude that runs the ball
the
30
threat.
times plus a game. I mean, that's
they also have the guy that gobbles up 28 carries a game.
that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
So that's a big problem.
Number 10, I went with one of my favorite wide receivers in the NFL, Allen Robinson. That's where I put Allen. I think
back to back right there. So we have some agreement.
I also have him there, Troy at 10.
Yeah, 10. So I mean, me and Dylan are in sync pretty much right now. Number 10, dude, Allen Robinson, one of the most underrated wide receivers we have in football. But I mean, sky's the limit for him. I hope he doesn't go for just whoever gives him the most money. I hope he tries to establish himself with a good quarterback, because if he does, this guy could skyrocket up my rankings. Because
question: where do you hope he goes? Any thoughts?
I mean, like the Dolphins would be pretty cool
with Tua.
Yeah, I mean, try to get with a young quarterback.
Weapon.
I mean, the Chargers, if they can get rid of Mike Williams and then bring in Allen Robinson along with Keenan Allen, because they always have money. Other than that, off the top of my head, I can't really just or the Packers, like a team that needs a number 2, because they're going to have money. They're not going to pay Aaron Jones. He's going somewhere else. I mean, the Ravens would make a little bit of sense. Just like something along those lines of a really good quarterback that doesn't necessarily either have a number 1 or needs a number, like a solid, rock solid number 2. Because this guy has one of the most sure hands in the NFL.
For sure.
So
I completely agree.
Allen Robinson, set it, forget it. And Daniel, who you got at 10?
That's where I plug in Keenan Allen. I like him a lot. He is my guy.
Glad he's in your top 10. I don't have to roast you about him not being in your top 10.
I think he's a top 10 guy. I do like Justin Herbert. I think they definitely improve. But I couldn't put him above. That is where I have my scratches. I back and forth with Keenan Allen and Allen Robinson a lot. But Keenan Allen, absolutely set it, forget it. He's a stud. He's going to get better with the sophomore quarterback. I mean, really, really good player.
I couldn't agree more. Number 11, Dylan.
Keenan Allen. So he's right.
Okay.
I don't want to get roasted. I don't want to get roasted.
Keenan. See, this is where I went. AJ Brown.
Okay, so it's like we're repeating a lot of names in like odd order, and that's how wide receivers are.
Yeah.
Because of how many guys are boom guys,
Yeah.
It's boom or bust a lot.
Yeah, they bust a lot, they boom a lot,
Yeah. I like AJ Brown as well. I just think that, again, he's just one of those guys that scares me in terms of route running ability. But I mean, I would take him over DK in terms of route running, personally. If I wanted a crispy route, I'd call AJ Brown before I called DK.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
I mean, he scares me a little bit more though, because Ryan Tannehill is aging.
Underrated guy,
and Russell Wilson's better, so that's why DK obviously is above AJ Brown. So I went AJ Brown at 11. So everybody's
I have a question.
Number 11, right?
Yeah, that was 11. But I have a question before we move on. Where do you take the stop of like set it and forget it? Where's the stud list end? Because we're getting kind of close to there,
We
in
are
my
getting-
opinion.
I mean,
I would say now.
You think now? I don't think yet.
I don't think yet either.
I think it's
mean,
I think it's close.
disagree.
I think wide receiver, like we said, it's so deep. It's
It is.
stupid.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Like
I don't know,
it's
man.
literally, I would feel comfortable starting 2 wide receivers from the Bengals. I would feel comfortable starting, almost a wide receiver off every team. Almost.
For sure. Yeah.
Almost.
Like, and so it's one of those things. And, a wide receiver off every team, what is that? Like 30, 32 players already.
crazy.
And we're not even
Yeah.
talking about 2 wide receivers. So,
Yeah,
it's-
I agree with that. That's
it's-
fair.
And then there's those duos, like you have the Mike Evans, who I have. Little segue here.
Look at that.
go.
Look at that.
I have Mike Evans in at 12. I think that, he
I didn't say
right
my
now is
11.
the number 1 guy for Tampa Bay. Chris Godwin is not on roster because he's obviously a free agent, and they would have to do whatever they can to either re-sign him or replace him. So Mike Evans, clearly the number 1 guy here. I could see him. I was battling him and A.J. Brown. It took me a while to pick one. But, yeah, this is where I slid Mike Evans.
I struggle with him with Tom Brady.
Me
I
too.
don't know.
I feel like they use him more as a tight end.
That's what I was gonna say. Touchdown. He does get touchdowns though. I think
For
he
sure.
wrote down he got
Touchdown.
13 touchdowns. I think is what he got last season. It's a lot. It's a good amount.
I mean, you look
109
at his
targets,
game
though.
plan.
109 targets. He only had 70 receptions. He almost missed half of them. But I mean, he had 109 targets. So like opportunities there. And another year with the GOAT. I mean, he could skyrocket up lists. He could be another guy you get pretty late. People forget how good he is, and then he just established himself as like, okay, never mind, we forgot. He's still a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL.
I agree with that.
So where'd you guys go at 12?
I haven't. Hang on, I haven't said my 11 yet, so I want to make sure I get to plug that in.
I'm bad.
My number 11 is Julio Jones, and that's
Okay.
where I put in the
Ah.
Hey, we got
Um,
4 or 5.
So, I mean, yeah, very similarities. Like you guys have already said it. I mean, and I've said it too. Matt Ryan can make fantasy production. And I mean, that's my highest duo with Calvin Ridley, Julio, 7 and 11. Well, 7-11 action.
Yeah.
Okay, sponsor. But I mean, I like Julio a lot. Like Dylan said, a lot of talent. One of the best talented wide receivers in the game. His health concerns me a lot though. And then I'll go ahead and move right into my 12. Dylan, you said you're 11, right?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, awesome. So I'll go and segue into number 12. That's where I go Adam Thielen. I mean,
Thielen.
he was a great wide receiver last year. And I mean, he's not a boomer bust guy. He's consistent. He's going to get his catches. He's going to get his targets. Kirk Cousins, I don't really love.
I did Adam Thielen dirty.
I can agree with that too, because I mean, I was thinking about their tight end, their young tight end they got over there is going to probably take Kyle Rudolph's spot. I think he's going to get.
Who
some
we talking?
targets.
Irv? We
Irv,
talking
yes.
Irv?
I think Irv's going to get
Irv.
some, and I think, like I said, Jefferson, I think overtakes Steele as the.
I mean, I think I agree. Justin Jefferson does really good. Adam Thielen finished as wide receiver 7 last year.
Oh yeah, I'm not hating him. He still did really good, but they
Yeah.
also, you know how bad they were getting beat constantly. Vikings.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Their
But I mean,
defense caught
a
that's
lot of
probably
touchdowns,
not
too.
going to change.
He caught
maybe
a
get a
lot of
little bit
touchdowns.
better, but it was. Yeah, I think I
So-
wrote down he had 14.
Yeah.
Something.
Oh, yeah.
It was
That's
a lot.
yes. And who you got at 12, Dylan?
I have Mike Evans.
Mike Evans.
Yeah.
so
Okay.
The similarities there at 13. That's where I put Julio. So
All right.
I put him a little bit lower than everyone outside of me, and I'm a huge Julio Jones fan. I had him in every league this year. I traded him towards the deadline because I got tired of him, except for in one league. But man, Julio's one of them guys I'll never lose faith in. I just love the guy.
Things about Julio that I haven't said yet. If you look at like just fantasy pros, you know I'm a big fan of that. I like pick as many experts as I can. I should be on there. But you got multiple guys putting Julio Jones as one of their top 3 guys.
Jesus.
I mean, obviously that's a little wild to me. But I mean,
he
he
has the skill
averaged
to
right
do
in
it.
at wide receiver 10. I mean, that's where Dylan's coming from. I can definitely see it. I have him at 11. Troy has him at 13. I mean, he's a great wide receiver.
For sure.
He slips far enough. He's a league winner.
100%.
Oh,
100%. So are we on 13? Dylan, did you say 12?
yeah, I said my 12.
And then have you said 13?
No, I have not.
Who's your 13?
Kenny Galladay.
The guy that you could forget about. You
Yeah.
love Kenny.
Oh, me and you love Kenny. He's a free agent, correct? I
He
thought that-
is.
yeah. So
is.
I mean, I don't know if they might pay him because I mean, I think he's pushing. I think he's 28.
Does
Could
he
be wrong
want to
on
go
that.
back there?
I mean, if I were him, I wouldn't. If you're 28, I mean, shelf life wide receiver, running back is not the best. Wide receiver a little bit more than running back, but I would if he goes to a contender, maybe like one other good wide receiver. I mean, he had Marvin Jones and with Detroit, and that's not a bad receiver. But if he goes somewhere with another good receiver, better quarterback, And he played good the year before last year when he was injured all season. So
yeah, I love
think
Kenny
he'll
Galladay.
improve.
I think he's a guy that you forget about because I'm not even sure how high I even have him. I have him a little bit lower, but Kenny Galladay, free agent, another one of those guys. He probably needs to go somewhere where he can be a 2 though, because he's hurt so much.
Yeah,
He probably should be
I
a
agree.
point. But yeah, I feel bad for him. Just had a really every time he was on the field though, he played incredible. But he just wasn't out there enough to really become, to establish himself as one of those guys going into next year. Have you said number 13 yet, Daniel?
I have not. 13,
13.
That's where I put in Mike Evans. So a lot of similarities with you right around that 11, 12, 13 range. That's where I put in Mike Evans. I have issues because Tom Brady doesn't go deep a lot. He's a deep ball guy. But, I mean, he found the end zone a lot last year. I mean, if you put him in your tight end rankings, I admit 2, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, if ESPN did that, like, he'd be drafted higher than he is as a wide receiver.
Yeah. 100%.
But, I mean, he's a wide receiver. I am at 13. I like him a lot. He's got a lot of talent. Big guy, big frame, great hands.
Great hands. Like you said, they use him more as a tight end, which can be scary at times. But, it is what it is, I guess.
I mean, I do think if they lose Chris Godwin, you have to think his target share goes up a little.
Oh, yeah.
You have to think.
Yeah.
And then you got to start thinking maybe Scotty Miller. Him and Tom Brady had quite the connection out there.
Yeah, for sure.
And for him to
Tom Brady
throw
likes
to
to
him in a like playoff game the way he did against the Packers to Scotty Miller back in the end zone, beautiful catch by Scotty. That
Brady
shows how
likes
much
that
trust
kid.
Brady likes. Yeah, and he put him in all of his little videos, promo videos before games and stuff. Like, in order for Brady to do that, he likes you. But enough about Scotty Miller. Sorry. I just had to throw that in there.
Do we have Scotty Miller ranked?
No,
I guess I can segue this into 14 unrestricted free agent, Chris Godwin. That's where I have Godwin. Again, one of those guys not really sure where he's going to end up because who knows with this free agency. And I was looking at cap situations for a lot of teams. A lot of AFC teams have money. A lot of NFC teams don't. So it's really kind of interesting to see how this plays out. Will the Buccaneers spend the money they need to keep around these offensive guys, or will they be like, well, we need to keep this defense intact because ultimately they won you the bowl. They won you the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see where he ends up, but this is where I have him 14, regardless of where he goes. He can end up higher. He's just a great wide receiver.
He was wide receiver 2 years ago, but with Jameis.
With Winston.
Yeah, with Winston. That's what I say. But he still was,
he was unbelievable.
I mean, kid's fast.
He's good. Like he's a route
good.
running. Yeah. And so Daniel, we'll go to you, 14.
Yeah, 14. I as well go free agent wide receiver. I go Kenny Galladay, though. Back where Dylan is.
All right.
I'm shocked to see me having Kenny Galladay above Troy.
Yeah, that is
Kenny
a little.
Galladay, which is a very big shock because I'm kind of a Kenny Galladay hater.
I love
in comparison to where Troy and Dylan are on him. But I like him a lot. I mean, unbelievable talent when he's on the field. He played in 5 games last year. I mean,
sucks.
If you see him play 16 next year, depending on where he is, league winner. Because that's a guy in a lot of leagues will slip pretty far.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Kenny Galladay, he's actually my 16, but we'll get into that. Or 15, rather.
Get there.
Yeah, 15, rather. But who's your 14, Dylan?
I have scary Terry McLaurin, 14.
Scary Terry.
Woo!
Yeah, I'll take a little bit. I think the problem is weapons and quarterback. If they can even
the quarterback.
That's what I'm saying. If they can trade, I've heard rumors of Cam possibly going there with Rivera, and I mean, Rivera. I've heard rumors.
That's
of that.
something to get excited about. I'd move him down.
You move him down. You move him down. I mean, who else had to throw the ball to? Cam Sims.
Did you watch Cam Newton last year?
I know he threw the ball.
Man,
he
you used to be a
like
Patriots
5
fan, right?
Kind of, yeah. It's more Brady fan. I guess we'll call it more Brady. No, I guess it's more. I don't really have a team. I guess I'd pick a team that'd be Saints, but we're not going to go there. But yeah, I have him there. As far as that's biased, I love watching Terry McLaurin play, even though I know he doesn't get the ball a ton. Never had a quarterback worth 2 cents really. I like Alex Smith, but he's old. Yeah, losing his step.
So you have
he's a good player for
14.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean he started off the season really good. Last season. I think he finished. I want to say he finished his. I thought I wrote it down. Did not 20. I think he was 21, 22, which this is a little bit higher than that. Not a huge jump, but I think they
finished as wide receiver 23.
23. Oh,
and now that is average. That is points per game. Or how many points he scored on the season. So he finishes wide receiver 23, only averaging 9.1 points per game.
But I'm saying he also had how many quarterbacks they have that season? 3 or 4 different quarterbacks in the regular season. 3.
I can't count that high.
It was so. I think you get some stability, and maybe one other option to help take the pressure off of him on the team at wide receiver or tight end.
So let's stick with you, Dylan. Here, rounding out your top 15. Who's 15?
My 15 is actually Michael Thomas, my guy.
So that's where you put Michael.
Yeah,
Slant boy.
slant
Yeah,
boy,
slant
slant and go.
Slant man.
Slant
Instead of
man.
Ant-Man, it's Slant Man,
Slant
man.
man, slant man. Yeah, I love Michael Thomas, but I could not put him high with the possibility of Breeze leaving. But he's still a talented wide receiver. I'm not knocking him for that. He'll catch balls that are thrown to him. Can get,
Yes.
but that's my main problem with that is that I don't know who the quarterback's going to be. That's why I had to drop him off to 15. So
I agree with that completely.
So who's your 15, Daniel?
You know, I got this trend I just really like about these free agent wide receivers, man. I'm going Will Fuller.
Wow.
You know, PED'd up, you know. He is peaked right now. Come on. And we know it. Kid's good. A lot of
Doesn't he have to
talent.
serve like a 5-game suspension
Yeah.
in the beginning of the year?
Maybe.
Or something of that nature. Maybe a 1 game or 2
I thought he got
games.
suspended at the end of the year, wasn't
I
he?
think he did too. I think
Yeah.
he misses like 1 game this year.
He
or
doesn't
something.
miss much, but I
Yeah.
don't know how many.
Oh,
I think it's like 1 or 2. if
I'm
that.
definitely high on him for sure. But depending on where he goes, I mean, he is tremendous talent when on the field.
I think he
Oh.
follows Deshaun, man.
Really? So where do you
I think
he
those
ends
two just
up?
have a connection, man. Those two love
If
each
he
other.
follows Deshaun and he doesn't, and he's only out 1-2 games, if you're telling me he's on the same team as Deshaun Watson and plays 14 games next season, I have him top 12.
Oh, Will Fuller. Will Fuller would be a tough.
Yeah.
If he stays healthy, he's another guy that
Like I
has to
said,
stay
he has to
healthy.
play 14 games for that to happen. But
Not be
Okay, so you're
suspended,
throwing.
yeah.
He has to play pretty much all the games to.
yeah.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
My 15. I mean, we've heard it said it enough. I love this guy, Kenny Galladay. That's where I put Kenny Galladay. He's
All right,
I
15.
got you.
I couldn't put him higher just based off of injuries. Where's he going to end up? And Lord knows. I mean, he could go. I don't even know where he could end up.
Yeah.
I have
Who
no
knows?
idea. These wide receivers are really hard to pick and point
They
out
are.
right now.
They are. And 16, Dylan.
Chris Godwin.
That's where you went, Godwin.
Yeah.
Speedster.
Okay. 16, Daniel.
Man, I go slant boy, you know?
Okay, so this
That's
is
where you
this,
put
this-
Tommy.
This is like just a little cycle.
It really is. We just go back and forth. My thing about him, man, is I think depending on the quarterback. I mean, if it's Drew Brees, I send him up.
Oh,
If it's Taysom Hill, I put him about where he is right now because I think it's going to be Taysom Hill. If it's Jameis Winston, I think it goes down.
I think you're
Dude,
a little low on Jameis.
I
am
do too.
a
I do
little
too.
on
He'll
Jameis,
get
man.
fantasy points. He may not win.
I like Jameis, bro.
Dude, I like Jameis for guys like Chris Godwin and Mike Evans.
I mean, a quick slant guy is pretty awesome for a guy like Winston.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't even
maybe
know.
Emmanuel Sanders pairs up a little bit better with him. Just go down the field.
No, I don't even think that one's
Jared
super
Cook.
pairing.
If you don't retire.
No, definitely not Jared Cook. Diesel.
My 16 is Terry McLaurin. That's where I put Scary Terry.
All right.
You kill him on where he has him, and you have him like one spot down.
I didn't
Come
kill
on,
him.
man.
I just said, okay, Scary Terry.
It's the quarterback. Another quarterback scary situation.
Terry McLaurin had a quarterback issue all year long this year and played just fine.
Yeah.
And
so,
is it going to get better?
possibly? You never know what could
Possibly.
happen.
I mean, they could go get Deshaun. If they get
Yeah.
Deshaun, they're a Super
that
Bowl
team is
contender.
tough. They haven't.
That's
They
fair.
have the most underrated defense in the league. They literally have a top.
Their defense is they almost beat the Buccaneers.
Yeah,
Like,
they literally have a top 5
with
defense.
Taylor Heineke or whatever. Tyler
Hey,
Heineke.
start Taylor Heineke. Start him if you don't.
He's
get
not
him.
bad.
Start him.
Like, well, I mean, we're acting like these guys, their defense can't carry them in some
yeah.
games. So
I agree.
number 17, I kind of have a surprise guy, and I want to throw this out there:
Uh-oh.
Deontay Johnson.
I hate
I didn't
that.
have him ranked. He's not.
I hate that. I don't have
That's-
him ranked either.
That's where I went, Deontay Johnson, man, and
I hate that.
Jeez.
I think that dude, I don't like him, but I think that the Steelers are so high on him that like they just want to get him out there. They're not going to re-sign Juju. I've already said that before. Juju will
No.
not be re-signed by the Steelers. So they're going to lose Juju. And, you know, if Ben's back, he's a gunslinger. He's throwing that ball to Deontay Johnson. They have some sort of chemistry. I think Deontay Johnson comes back, has a bigger year. Maybe not great, but I think he has a bigger year, man. And this is where I put him. I knew you guys were going to react,
Man.
especially Daniel.
I did
Um,
everything in my power I could to not rank that guy. I did. I mean, I did everything. I go through rankings. I see his name, like, nope. Keep going.
Just keep
I
going.
do everything I can. No, I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I have multiple Steelers receivers above him. I don't like his ability.
You have multiple Steelers above him?
I'm
I
gonna
only
say
have one.
One of them is Juju.
Well,
Technically.
yeah.
So technically, I have more than one, but Juju will not be there. I completely agree with that statement. But I do not.
So
have
who'd you go with 17?
17? That's where I put in Chris Godwin. So another repeat guy.
Godwin's
A lot of
low,
talent.
man.
Depends on where he goes,
This
you know.
isn't-
But I mean, good player. Repeat
Godwin's a little low for my liking, but nonetheless.
Yeah, I know. I completely agree. It's too low if we're
There's
having
so
him
many wide
even-
receivers, as we've
Yeah,
stated many
yeah.
times.
If you have him
Many
even with
times.
Deontay
Like being-
Johnson, you're
Being
crazy.
16 is not a bad thing. Like that's probably like what 10 points a game, probably gonna get
Yeah,
you.
right around.
If
For
you
standard-
finished as
standard, that's
wide
standard.
receiver 16 last year, you'll be surprised who this is actually.
Brandon Cooks,
Brandon Cooks. Yeah. And then 15th Marvin Jones Jr. But how crazy is that?
another free
Yeah.
agent.
Yeah, I mean Galladay was out all year, so he really.
Yeah, I mean that's averaging right at like 10 points per game.
So who'd you put here, Dylan?
I put Adam Thielen. I had to go.
That's where you put Thielen.
Yeah.
The fall for Thielen for me keeps on dropping.
I still think he'll
That
get.
is
I don't think he'll
crazy.
get 14 touchdowns. I'm not saying that. I think Jefferson
No.
and maybe
Touchdown
Irv Smith
usage will
Jr.
fall off. Yards will fall off.
But I don't think it's gonna
I
fall.
think
I'm thinking maybe 8.
He's aging too. He's not a young. He's
yeah, I
not
think
young.
he's 30 something. I know
He's up there. Let me do a quick.
He
search.
was a late bloomer. That means
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, but you can't tell me he's not one of an amazing route runner.
Oh yeah,
You can't tell me
he's a
Kirk
great
Cousins
route
is
runner.
absolutely
Probably
love
one of
him,
the
you
best
know?
in the game in terms of just pure route running ability.
Yeah.
But so we all have different names there.
Yeah.
And obviously the big shocker one was me. I shocked everybody.
And then we go into 18.
He's 30, but he'll be 31 before
Alright.
the next season kicks off.
So I knew he was 30.
older than Julio.
18. I went another guy that maybe surprised Robert Woods. That's where I put Woods.
I don't hate
I
it.
don't hate that. I don't hate that.
I
hate
think
it a
with
little bit,
Stafford,
but I
I
don't
think with
hate it.
Stafford, it gets pretty interesting.
That's
and the
mine.
Rams. Stafford is another one of those guys that we kind of saw in our quarterback rankings. We were like, wow, he's been a consistent, whatever. His touchdown numbers were a little bit down, but I mean, with the offense like the Rams and a coach like Sean McVay, I mean, you could do a
I
lot of
agree.
things if you're good enough. And
I love
mean,
Robert Woods.
He proved that Jared Goff got to a Super Bowl, everybody. Like, I mean, we forget that. And now their defense is better than their Super Bowl run, and they arguably have a better quarterback. They don't have as good as a running back, but they got the same level of weapons, if not a better tight end than they had. And it's interesting. The Rams are an interesting team for me next year, man. I'm a little high, a little low on them. I don't know how to feel, but Robert Woods, consistent. Set it and forget it, man.
Off-topic question.
No, Lord.
How far is Sean McVay from the Hall of Fame?
Not far.
Because I saw this thing today. It was an ESPN Instagram post, whatever. And it was like one Super Bowl away. And that's where they had Sean McVay.
Really?
And I agreed. I thought so as well. I was just curious if y'all had to take
Might
him.
get it this year.
He might. I don't know. He won't, but he might.
I don't think he will, but I think they could push a playoff spot.
18.
18.
That's where I'm surprised I haven't heard this name yet. Because I've heard how high you are on Dak. I don't know much about Dylan and Dak. This is where I put Marty Cooper. I mean, guy was
so many weapons.
Yeah,
dude.
I
Guy
mean,
was hooping last year though. I mean, guy has a lot of talent. He finished as wide receiver 19 last year. Played in 16 games. But I mean, I cannot see him falling,
Oh yeah, without Dak, yeah.
gaining a better quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, so that was my issue. I couldn't put him below 19. So I'm at 18.
I respect it. And Dylan, 18.
18, I have DJ Moore. DJ Moore at 18.
Woo!
Oh yeah, I like me some Teddy Bridgewater. Christian McCaffrey coming back does. I feel like
DJ Moore's not my top 30.
He's not in your
Wow,
top
that's
30.
even worse than where I have Dylan's. Wow.
But
My top 30.
McCaffrey coming back is going to take away some targets in that in the wide receiver core. But I still think
But they are losing Curtis Samuel.
Yeah, they
That
are
is
losing Curtis
something-
Samuel. So it's like,
Hey, Bengals.
No.
yeah, I think he'll finish about 18. I don't know where. Yeah, I don't know where
we
exactly.
do not need him. And you know.
I'm just getting this
Shut
Bengals
up.
ramble going on. I'm like,
God, no.
but yeah, not much to say about those. And I think he's I think he finishes wide receiver 19 in terms of not in point. It was.
I know.
Average.
So he's your 18.
Yeah, I think just one up from last year.
I got you.
Right around the
Makes
same
sense.
spot. Not bad.
19. I'm going with a guy that had a lot of hype for a while. OBJ. That's where I have Odell Beckham.
I like
never
it.
can-
That's where I slid Odell. Baker's been playing better. I think
Man,
Baker
you
continues to
could
grow
put him a lot higher.
and get away with it. Yes, you
The
can.
problem
He
is
is
that-
in the same conversation with me as the Julio and the Michael Thomas.
Yeah.
It's those three are like the guys that are kind of like, like they're studs and we know it,
Oh yeah.
but they have something different going on right now.
saying like I always like am confident going into every year. Like for the past years, I'm like Odell's gonna do better. Odell's gonna do better. He's gonna go back to like Giants Odell, and it just never happens. So like I'm a little bit lower because that I just can't rely on. I don't know. He did get injured, and there is a chance. There's been rumors going on for forever that he could get traded or leave. But
Yeah.
I do think Baker's better though. That's kind of why I didn't drop him off too much. Baker looked a lot better this year. So
Yeah, for sure. And who you guys got at 19? Daniel, we'll go to you first.
That's where I go Scary Terry, man.
That's
A
where
lot
you
lower
put
than you
Scary.
guys, but I mean another guy, you know.
I mean,
had a
16,
terrible
19,
quarterback
they're
situation.
comparable.
yeah, I mean it's not.
I
Not
agree.
terribly too much lower.
I mean, I struggle with who is the quarterback. I honestly like Taylor Heineke the most. I do, and unless I don't know, I struggle to put a wide receiver super high when I don't know who his quarterback is.
I gotcha. But you put a lot of free agents.
You're right.
Yeah.
But guess what?
I
I
mean-
saw those guys do great last year. And then Scary Terry, I could just see them having 3 quarterbacks next season again.
Good.
I mean, who's the guy there if it's not Deshaun, like you said?
And who else under contract right now for them? Heineke and is Alex Smith still under contract for them?
Smith. He hasn't
Alex Smith
retired
is
or
under
nothing.
contract.
Smith. That's
Alex
it.
Smith is
They'll
getting
bring
a
in
lot of
somebody
money.
if
Yeah.
they don't get Haskins or somebody like that. It's a weird situation. It is a weird situation, but 19 nonetheless. Dylan?
Marty Cooper, kind of the same
That's
reasoning
where
as
you went,
Daniel.
Cooper.
Okay.
He played solid last year without a good quarterback. I mean, I'd say Andy's decent, but
Andy
without
Dalton's a stud.
yeah, for sure.
Andy Dalton's my guy.
But I think he'll get better with Dak back, and he finished right around there last year. So I think he honestly could finish higher than that, maybe above DJ Moore, Adam Thielen, and them.
I agree with that. I think he has a lot of boom potential. He's got a lot of touchdown percentage, especially with Dak there.
For
Yeah.
sure.
And number 20, rounding out the top 20, I have one of my favorites, Cortland Sutton, a guy
I
that
love it. I love it.
a guy that will be healthy this year, hopefully. Hopefully he'll recover 100%. And hopefully Drew Lock will be better. There's a lot of hopefullys there. But I was high on the Broncos coming into this year. Super high.
You
I
were.
love their offense. I thought Drew Lock was in for a very good year. And obviously, there's some decision-making stuff that he needs to improve on. But if they move up somehow and get a quarterback, I would feel much better about Cortland Sutton. But
So you're not sold on Drew Lock anymore?
no, I'm not that sold.
Wow,
His
'cause
decision
you were
making,
the
man,
biggest Drew
You were
Lock
big,
It rubs
yeah,
me
I've
the
seen.
wrong way, man. After watching another year of him, I thought it was just him being young and making stupid mistakes. But hey, maybe he turns it around like Baker. Baker took a few years, so
Baker did
maybe
take a few years.
there's such a short lease nowadays on quarterbacks.
It's
Back in the
hard.
day, Drew Lock would be a 20-year guy without even a problem. But nowadays, it's like you got 2-3 years to prove yourself. And
You're
I'll
out the door.
always root on Drew Lock because he was a guy I stuck my neck out there for, and I thought he was going to be, somebody that, I could brag about that. Hey, I called that. And now it's like, oh, I called that. Like that's bad.
Hey, you put Drew Lock on the Washington football team.
That's intriguing.
Do they win 9 games?
I think they
Yeah.
went 10 just with the
Yeah.
defense almost.
I do
Yeah,
too.
I think he's a better quarterback than anybody they got on a roster.
Oh,
Oh,
100%.
easily. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was saying massive upgrade.
Yeah.
But I go same route with number 20. I don't go Cortland Sutton, but I go with guy who was injured all year. I go Odell Beckham Jr.
You go OBJ there.
I think
Love
that offense is really good. I mean, they can run the ball better than any team in the league right now with 2 guys, consistent top 10 guys last season. And then just adding another weapon alongside Jarvis Landry, Austin Hooper. I mean, Odell Beckham Jr., Giants, Odell Beckham Jr., I mean, his ADP some year were like top 3 in wide receiver.
Yeah.
I mean, absolute stud when he's on the field. And if he's healthy, Baker looks good. Baker can get him the ball.
Yeah. So 20 for you, Dylan.
My number 20 is Robert Woods. I
That's
like the
where you
addition
put
of
Woods.
Stafford. I think
I
Stafford.
like that.
The hard thing for me, was the turn between Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods. But I think Robert Woods is consistently more reliable every year. I mean, Cooper Kupp had that one really good year. What was it? Was it the Super Bowl year that they both did really good? But I think Cooper Kupp finished better in total fantasy
Yeah.
points.
That was the year that like Troy had that whole
Yeah.
Rams offense.
I did. I had Cup. I had them all.
Goff.
You had
Goff, Gurley, Woods.
That was
They
the
were
same
tough
year that
that year.
Thielen had the whole like Vikings offense, right?
Yeah, I had Thielen, Diggs, Kirk Cousins, and they all
Kyle
actually played good.
Rudolph. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. That's a challenge that we should do one year just for fun.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, 21. This is where it could get a little bit weird.
Yeah,
We
these
may start
last-
going just
I don't know, man.
a little bit quicker for these last 10. But 21, I got T Higgins, Cincinnati Bengal. Proud, true T Higgins. Give me all of
Early.
T, man. Him and Joe Burrow had such a connection. It was awesome to watch. I think
I agree.
he comes out there and absolutely puts on a great show. Great show.
I think
Higgins
he could
is a
emerge as
stud.
easily their wide receiver one. Like I think he could, like Burrow's favorite target. I think he could pass Boyd. I mean, Boyd runs more in the slot. Am I wrong? I don't watch a ton of Bengals games, even though I'm from the. But
Yeah,
he runs.
he's great. I don't care.
He's
where
a
he runs.
really talented wide receiver. That was a great pick. By
He
the
can go
Bengals.
anywhere. He's a route runner. He does well. So I put him here. 21.
21. That's where I put in Dylan's guy, DJ Moore. I think this is the guy you said was unranked for you, Troy.
Yep. I don't have.
I think that's crazy.
Yeah.
But I think Dylan had him a little too high. I think he outside the top 20 right there. I mean, really solid player. I think Christian McCaffrey's that do-it-all gadget guy. We all have him probably number one running back.
I really like their offense too. So maybe I overlooked him, but
Yeah.
because
I mean,
Joe
that's
Brady's
possible.
unbelievable.
When it comes to wide receivers, it's a lot easier to overlook a guy like
Yeah.
these 20 to 30.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, it's really easy.
I
But
wouldn't
like
take
DJ
him
Moore
over
a lot.
any of the guys I put though. That's the crazy part.
Really? I mean, I don't know. I look at some guys down here and it's like, wow, I have them at 28. Like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
I mean, you have to think, man, all of these guys are starting on a team still because with flexes,
That's
two
wide receiver,
receivers,
baby.
yeah.
That's why it's so crazy to try to rank
mean,
them.
yeah.
But
every
21
guy that
for
we're
you, Dylan.
picking is a starting wide receiver in a fantasy football league.
for sure.
Especially PPR.
Yeah, for sure. PPR, then you want to put in your flex. You need three
Yeah.
of them. Yeah, I agree with that. And then
21, Dylan.
My 21's Odell.
That's
21.
where
Okay.
you went, Odell. Okay.
Yeah, I still had to go. I couldn't go too low on him.
I
He
got
could
just
not put him
disappoints
on
me.
the list.
Yeah, for sure. He just disappoints me year in and year out, and I just don't want to regret it again. I want to say I'll pick him here, and you're like, he's my this rank this, and just disappoints me again.
Yeah, 22. That's where I threw in CD Lamb.
All right.
I think CD Lamb's a wide receiver one for the Cowboys next year. Sophomore boom. That's what I'm calling it.
So you have CD Lamb above Amari Cooper?
I mean, it's one spot. I have Amari Cooper at 23.
Okay, I was just curious. I didn't think I'd heard.
Yeah, I
Amari
went
Cooper
CD
yet.
Amari.
Okay. At 22 is where I toss in Robert Woods. Rams offense is really good. The only worry with that is I don't love how much that ball gets spread around.
Yeah.
Because I don't like seeing guys like Van Jefferson, Josh Reynolds, like stealing my touchdowns, you know, when you're a Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp starter.
Josh Reynolds is a free agent.
Okay, thank you. But I mean, I don't think any of us are ranking Josh Reynolds or Van Jefferson.
Yeah.
But I mean, Sean McVay likes to spread it out. Matthew Stafford's going to spread it out. I do like the quarterback upgrade, though. I will say that.
Yes, sir.
I might.
Did
Did
you-
you give him my 22 now?
Yeah, go shoot.
I got Will Fuller at 22.
That's where you have Fuller.
Depends where he lands for me.
He's looking big right now, I promise.
I kind of would like the. I mean, 49ers got some young pieces, but I would like that. I don't know why. They've already got some
Where?
receivers. San Fran.
I would love him in San Fran.
I
I
agree.
would. 23. I've already said Amari Cooper. Daniel.
That's where I go CD Lamb.
That's where you put CD. Okay.
Yeah, so I think he's a really good wide receiver, a lot of talent. Dak Prescott is an obvious upgrade over Andy Dalton, but I still have to have him behind Amari Cooper. I think the touchdown share is a big difference between those two.
And then Dylan.
I got Brandon Ayuk from.
Woo!
Ayuk.
Yeah,
Dude, he's
another-
ranked for me too. I love that guy.
Yeah, I love
Another
Ayuk. I love
guy.
watching him play.
Another sophomore.
Yeah, he's
Another
another
guy.
sophomore. I think a lot of these sophomores are gonna do good this year. There's about 3 or 4. I got 4 on my list.
There's some good.
I have
This
about
was
4
a
or 5
great
on my
wide
list.
receiver class, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was a great. That's gonna go down to a really good one. I think.
I agree with that. But Brandon Ayuk was a guy that I did everything that I could to not rank.
For real?
Because I really think that San Francisco will add another piece, and he will kind of become a third option with that piece and George Kittle.
Okay, I was gonna say if you said Debo, I was like, I don't know.
No, I don't think Debo is above him, but I still think Debo,
Debo's
still
good.
gets targets.
And he's got there for those little trick plays they like to do.
Yeah, I mean, Debo will get points too.
Yeah.
But was that your 23?
I was at
23.
23.
23.
All right.
I can go and say my
moving into
24 because I got CD. I got CD at 24.
Okay, you got CD.
Yeah.
Daniel.
That's where I move into T. Higgins. I absolutely love him as a Bengals fan. I have him above Tyler Boyd, which I think everyone should. I think a big sophomore season, like you said, one of the wide receiver classes that will go down in history.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. This is where I put in Adam Thielen. I have the two that you guys are pretty high on. This is where I have Adam Thielen and Will Fuller. These are where I go bang bang. And I just think again, it's one of those things. Can he stay out of trouble? Can he, stay healthy with Will Fuller? I'm not talking about Adam. I just think Adam's
I was going to say,
older.
Adam Thielen gets in trouble.
I just think
What?
Adam's getting older, and he'll just gradually get worse. With Will Fuller, I think it's the trouble, the injuries, who's his quarterback. There's a lot of issues that I'm not willing to take a risk on like you did and rank him as high as, like I said, you did. So, I mean,
I agree
Will
with a lot of
Fuller
the
has the
issues.
ceiling, though. If you get him this low, another one of those guys. Be a league winner. Could be a Stefan Diggs from last year. Just absolutely tears it up. And, he had that potential this year before he got, pinned out for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I definitely agree with the issues when it comes to him, but I don't see him as much when it comes to Adam Thielen, where you're that low.
I just see regression a little bit, not a ton, but some.
I do too, man. But he finished as what did he finish? I don't know.
7.
He finished as wide receiver 7. You're gonna move all the way down to 24.
4. That's a big old drop.
That's a 17 number drop.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Mark it down.
Whew. Okay.
24 and 25 for you guys.
I already said my 24.
Okay, 25 for you.
All right.
Because I think I was last 24. 25.
I'm gonna go. I got Tyler Lockett at 25.
Tyler Lockett.
Okay.
Tyler Lockett. Like I said, I think that the reason I put him in this is he's going to get games where he has 20, 30 points in standard. Like he will have 3 games where he booms. Like it's gonna happen. That could literally win you games, get you into playoffs, potentially do it in a playoff game for you. And so I just have him here.
I agree with that. I was worried about you all earlier when we were talking about DK versus Tyler Lockett.
Yeah,
I was worried about where you all had him because I don't have him ranked.
Oh, I think
I'm not saying he's far out of my rankings, but he's not top 30.
I have him ranked.
Yeah.
He's definitely one of my honorable mentions, but I do not. But then 25 is where I put one of the guys I absolutely loved last year. Fell in love with this guy. It's Cortland Sutton. I mean, if he's healthy, he's on the field. He is so good. And I mean, if you're getting him at ADP wide receiver 25, I'm going to come back here in 24 weeks and tell you he just won you the league.
Yeah.
I mean, at least he got you in the playoffs. Like he's a stud.
Yeah. 26, I went Tyler Lockett. That's where I put Lockett, right along with you.
I respect that position.
And then Daniel?
26, I go with my first Steelers wide receiver and Chase Claypool. Do not like him at all. I mean, not at all.
I don't either, honestly.
I hate him. I mean, if I could, Chase Claypool, pull up in here, right? Like, I don't like you at all. But he looked good last year. I mean, Big Ben is a gunslinger, like you said with Deontay Johnson. I mean, he had a really good year last year.
Yeah.
And I mean, losing Juju, I mean, he's gonna go up. You would think. I think we do are a little bit biased. I mean, he finished as wide receiver 14 last year in points. And I mean, I am at 26. Do you all have him ranked?
Oh, I do.
Troy, I didn't figure you did.
No.
But I mean, I don't think he falls a lot, considering the fact that the only thing that's going to change is he loses a guy who's taking his targets.
Yeah, but Big Ben.
Ben getting worse.
Well, I agree. Big Ben definitely getting worse. But I mean, we saw a pretty bad Big Ben last year.
Yeah.
You're right. And 26 for you, Dylan.
DJ Chark.
That's where
Trevor Lawrence has to have a man, and I think it's going to be Chark. So I think he could go.
That's a lot of
take.
ifs, man.
Come on, that's a hot take.
It is a hot take, but Trevor Lawrence has to find a man. You know he's going to get someone in that offense involved that he loves, and I think it's going to be DJ Chark. So we're going.
I agree with that. DJ Chark has a lot of talent.
He does. He's actually really talented, and obviously all that like James Robinson overlooked because Jaguars. It's the Jaguars.
27, I went Cooper Kupp.
So did I.
Okay, I mean,
I did too.
Another Rams wide receiver.
Is that where you went, Daniel? Are we all like 20?
No, I went Tyler Boyd. Bengals wide receiver
That's
number
really
2.
cool.
Man, Tyler Boyd
Boyd's
is
incoming for me. He's very, very close.
Yeah, and I mean, I have Cooper Kupp incoming very, very close. But Tyler Boyd, I mean, we can talk about him all day. He's a really good wide receiver. And I mean, last year when Joe Burrow was on the field, him and T. Higgins were really good fantasy wide receivers.
Yes,
like you said earlier, you could start 2 Bengals receivers, and as bad as that team might have been, you won your fantasy game most likely.
Yeah.
I like Tyler Boyd a lot. 27 might be too low. Might be too high. I don't know.
Find
Daniel,
out.
or Dylan, have you said you're 27?
Yeah, I said it was Cup like you. I mean, you with
Cup, okay.
Yeah,
and then 28, I went Juju.
All right.
That's where I plugged Juju.
I also went Juju at 28.
Yeah.
Too much talent to go any lower.
I went Sutton at 28. So
Sutton, and then 29. That's where I went Boyd.
Claypool.
That's where I go Cooper Kupp.
And then 30. That's where I went Brandon Ayuk.
T. Higgins.
Hey, I went a little different with number 30.
Oh, he's spicy. Here we go. Let's hear it.
I wanted to spice it up. Last guy on the thing. Y'all, I went Jamar Chase.
Okay, you went with the rookie.
I went with the rookie. I feel like I like having a rookie on every rankings. And I think Jamar Chase has an absolute tremendous amount of talent. I like him a lot. So I put him at number 30, no matter where he ends up. You're telling me there's not a single rookie wide receiver that ends in the top 30? I think you're crazy.
Oh, there will be one.
For sure.
Happens every year. I mean, it could be Devonte.
But definitely, it's hard to pick them when you don't know what team they're on.
That's the hardest thing.
That's the thing. But
how they're going to use them, because they could use them like half snaps.
Their quarterback, all that stuff. There's a lot of little there's a lot of little things, because nobody would have predicted Brandon Ayuk to be as productive as he was. But then Deebo Samuel went down. So injuries kind of help. Same with Michael Pittman last year too. Like T.Y. Hilton kind of struggled. Michael Pittman kind of stepped up, and now he was right outside my rankings. Him and Claypool.
I don't know, man. I drafted Pittman last season, just hoping.
I really like Pittman.
I dropped him, but he did something. He actually did play decent towards the end.
Hot take: Michael Pittman. He won't give Carson Wentz number 11. That's going to be an issue.
It's not going to be an issue.
That's going to be an issue.
Carson Wentz is bad anyway.
We're going to end on that. That's ridiculous. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining. Again, this is our wide receiver ranking. We plan to do a tight end one here in the coming days as well. So this will be episode 3, wide receiver rankings, a very fun one. Dylan, Daniel, thank you guys so much for joining us here. A lot of fun. Cannot wait for the next one. But until then, guys, Dylan, you can send us out, brother.
All right. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see y'all.